Bethany Wilson here from Ruff Beginnings Rehab, and I'm here with Scarlett, and yes, this is the same Scarlett that was featured with me on an episode of Save Our Shelter. And below in the info section is a link to a video of us teaching Scarlett how to do place with pressure instead of treats. The reason that we went that way with her, she's at a rescue shelter right now. She's just been spayed. That's why her belly's shaved. And we're just warming up right here, going to place and then being released. And she's here because she's working on this because she's typical mouthy, jumpy. She can't really function unless somebody is touching and petting her. Otherwise, she's just all over the place, crazy anxiety, crazy excitement, which is really typical. I just call it kennel anxiety because we see it in so many dogs that are in kennel environments. So even though we see it a lot, it's definitely something we want to help her cope with. That way, when she goes to her new home, she'll be able to, stay in place, stay in her bed, and be nice and calm without having to be on top of someone all the time, getting constant reassurance and constant pets in order to function. So that's not a healthy state of mind for anyone to be in. So that's why we're working on this duration place specifically. And it's basically a fancy version of stay. It's a stay without actually having to say the word stay. The dog learns to just settle on their own, and they're not looking at you for the next command. They're just able to be calm and watch the world go by. So right here, I'm not giving her any commands. We're going to repeat this several times till she just kind of wears out, and then she'll start offering me a sit or a down on her own. That's kind of the goal here. But also, if you see your dog pretty calm, there's no reason to not go ahead and just say sit or say lay down if they know the command. The reason that when we first start this, we don't start spoon feeding them commands is because we want them thinking on their own, because when they're thinking on their own, their brain starts to calm down. It's really nice to watch. You can actually see them settle while you're just patiently waiting. But if your dog is already pretty chill, feel free to go ahead and start saying sit, lay down as soon as you go to your bed, go to your mat, or if you want to just say place. Also, this clip is sped up right here, so I've cut the sound. But you should know that even though there's not a lot of distractions that she can see, there is tons of barking going on around her. There's construction across the street. So there are plenty of distractions to deal with that aren't necessarily visual. So this is honestly more than I would even like to do in the beginning when teaching this. But you have to work with what you've got. So right there, you see me kind of, she headbutted my knee. It's because she was going to get up. She was going to follow my legs. And that was kind of a really opportune time for a correction. So I'm just going to show that again. It was a little bit of spatial pressure, which we're not really talking about, but when you move into a dog to kind of reset them. So it kind of happened naturally right here. And boom, right there it is. So she was just following my legs, and I don't want her following my legs. I want her to stay in her spot. And again, you have to do prep work. Check out the other video to actually teach place before you start to add in duration. But I'm just simulating me hanging out, sitting on the couch, watching TV, while my dog is hanging out on the floor, not on top of me, not leaning on me, not needing me to look at her or do something with her every 5 seconds. Especially if she goes home, with other dogs, she's going to need to know how to be relaxed and be able to just lay down. And sometimes these shelter dogs, when they go home, they're just crazy for several weeks before they finally settle into the routine. Well, this can fix all that. I mean, this can help your transition within just the first or second day if you help them understand that they can just lay down and relax and watch everything go by. Now, you want to start small. Now, she does have a few mess ups here that I'm going to show, but you want to start in really short segments. So right here, I just do an and I reset her. Now, we are gradually building this up, so you don't make some huge deal about your dog getting up in the beginning. Your dog is learning. So if you've never done 20-minute duration work, you've only done 5 minutes, and you make it all the way to 20, the worst thing you can do is no, bad dog, and reset with all this negative energy. Just keep it clean and clear. Just no or and just reset them right back into place immediately. Try to set your dog up to succeed where they're not gonna fail. I actually initially had the chair further away from her, and she wasn't gonna do it. So I moved the chair in closer. Set your dog up to succeed. So right there, she lays down on her own. Even though she's still staring me down, looking for direction, she's not completely relaxed, which is why I turn away from her. I still love that. I want them to just be bored and lay down on their own. They're using their brain and they're thinking. So right here, this is how you incorporate food. Look how low key I am. I'm marking the behavior with a verbal good, and I am just real nonchalantly feeding her treats. I'm not making a big deal about it. It's just really low key. So I'm reinforcing her current position without getting her so excited that she'll pop up. Now, I could have never done this if I had started with food, because she would get way too excited. So there's an She got too excited when I stood up, and it's probably because I was just feeding her treats. I have no doubt about that. But in the beginning, she just couldn't handle food. She just freaked out. She was all over the place. So that's why we want to start with this low-key work and still use food as reinforcement. Just use it in a way that reinforces the calm behavior rather than excited drive. And you don't even have to use food if you don't want to. I just like to give it as an option for people. Now what I'm doing is I was just moving around her. That's really difficult. She's worked up to this. This is something that we've worked on a little, which is me moving around her. See, it's really hard. The reason she got up is because I sneezed a couple of times. I don't know if you heard it, but that's what got her excited and she popped up. So it's just a real simple a little pop, reset into place, no big deal. And then I just repeat. Now this is a distraction right there, petting her. Look, she wants more attention, but she doesn't get up. That again is something we've practiced. We have to gradually add in the excitement. That way she can watch dogs go by in the park or kids playing without freaking out and having to chase after them and start nipping at them excitedly. That's important. I was just showing her I didn't have any more food right there. And look, she lays down and she calms down. So sometimes dropping the leash is a huge trigger. It's something else that we have practiced a little bit, not a ton, but a little. And now I'm really working on distance, not just duration. Now I can guarantee if I was to sit down that far away, she would definitely pop up. But the fact I'm still standing, she knows that I'm moving around. So just see, lots of things you can do. I'm just trying to give examples. Let's move on. Okay, so I'm going to start speeding these clips up, but not this one, because watch this right here. So I really coolly, good treat. I'm really boring. And she does an old behavior that I hadn't seen out of her in a while, which is just flop over, because she always gets attention if she flops over. So flopping over doesn't represent calm here. It represents excitement. So watch when I sit down, what does she do? She immediately bounces up, because I did something that never happens. When she lays over like that, people always go and pet her and fuss over her belly. So you see that in a lot of dogs. This is a really common behavior. And normally it's really not a big deal. It's not, but she has kind of taken it to a whole nother level, just being in an environment that has a lot of anxiety in it. So I'm just trying to help her understand that she doesn't always get pet every time she asks for it. Again, and that's just going to help her cope in the real world when she goes home. So I want to see right there, I'm going to repeat that. Since I've been consistent and always reset her, all I have to do is lean forward, and look, she fixes herself, because she knows that I will get up and reset her. So I get asked all the time how I reinforce these behaviors. See, she's on a long leash right here, 2 leashes put together. You can get a long line. You can tether your dog to something sturdy, like the couch, and then you gradually move further and further away from the dog. And the younger the dog, the more guidance. And don't forget to keep doing your patterning for fun. And practicing a little bit of this duration work every day, using food, filtering out food, practicing on distance, duration, distraction. Those are your 3 Ds that you need to have a dog that's easy to have around the house as well as in public. So if you guys have any questions, you should definitely check out my Facebook and Instagram. We're putting out new content, new ideas, new ways to handle situations with your dogs and your puppies. Just look for Rough Beginnings Rehab, and don't forget to subscribe.